Okay, Rachel, we're ready.
Okay. So the public hearing on Ordinance 8888 is now open. A public hearing is a meeting that provides the opportunity for public discussion regarding ordinances and other matters pending before City Council. Today, Ordinance 8888, which vacates an alley that runs east and west off of Manville Avenue between Derby Avenue and 8th Street, is at issue. Interested parties may express their views and submit evidence supporting those views at this public hearing. The information shared will become part of the city's permanent record and may be used by the members of City Council in deciding whether or not to adopt Ordinance 8888. There are 4 parts to this public hearing. First, the staff report. Second, the petitioner's testimony. Third, public testimony. And fourth, discussion by members of City Council. We will now receive the staff report from Planning Director Heather Saylor.
Good evening, everybody. I won't repeat where the location is, but we do have a map that we'll put online here to show that alley that's highlighted. The city clerk actually received the petition to vacate this alley on September 22nd of last year. The petitioner is Tamara McCulloch, represented by Thomas Vatsberger, who is here tonight, can answer any questions. There is one adjacent home or property owner to the west who also signed the petition indicating approval of the request. While the alley is unimproved, as you can see by this aerial view, it does have sanitary sewer and a manhole, which is why there is a permanent and perpetual easement written in the ordinance as requested by city staff. On December 2nd of last year, Planning Commission did hold a public hearing and they recommended approval of the proposed alley vacation. We haven't had an alley vacation request since 2015 last I looked, so I really had to look back and see the details of what we normally do, but this is basically it for this alley vacation. Mr. Vatsberger, I would reference that he would come to the podium next to answer any questions unless there's any questions for me.
John, Greg, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Okay.
No questions. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, so next we will hear a testimony from the petitioner. Mr. Vatsberger represents Ms. McCulloch.
Attorney Tom Vatsberger, I represent the petitioner Tamara McCulloch, who is the duly appointed executor for the estate of her father, William Ward. She made the petition, filed the petition. At all times, we had expressed that any easement that would be required by the city was satisfactory to her. On her behalf, I would say that there's no public purpose for the alley that sought to be vacated. All the property owners abutting the alley, there's one, concur and sign the petition. And the vacation of this alley will not be detrimental to the general interest of the citizens of Bowling Green. So I would urge you to pass the ordinance at the appropriate time.
Do any members of council have questions for petitioner?
No, I don't have any questions.
Do not, Rachel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vatsberger.
Thank you.
So we will now hear testimony from the public. Okay, are there any members of the public there who would like to address the committee at this time?
I don't believe so. And I also did not receive any correspondence
Okay.
via email.
Thank you. So this committee will now discuss the ordinance. John, Greg?
This seems pretty straightforward and non-controversial. I intend to support it.
As do I, Rachel. I spoke to Heather about it, and I was thinking this was my first vacation ever since I've been on council, but as she pointed out, there's been one as recently as 2015. But there certainly is, something that I will be supporting.
Okay. All right. I think that is it. This concludes the public hearing on Ordinance 8888.
Sweet.
Okay.
Ed. Ready?
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our regularly scheduled city council meeting. Before we start, I just want to thank Jeff Dennis for putting himself out there to be a council representative under difficult circumstances and in trying times. So thank you to you and your family for making you available. Okay, could you call the roll?
Dennis?
Here.
And Dennis? Harold?
Here.
Hollenbaugh?
Here.
Phipps?
Here.
Robinette?
Here.
Roland?
Here.
Zanfordino?
Here.
Okay, our minutes from the meeting on January 4th have been distributed prior to the meeting for your review. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
properly moved and seconded. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay. Correspondence.
Yes, distributed to you prior to the meeting was the financial budget summary report for the month of December 2020. And that's all I have.
All righty. Do we have anybody that has signed up for lobby visitation?
No.
Okay. Introduction of new legislation.
Yes, Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
from the Finance and Ways and Means Committee, I have 2 resolutions and 5 ordinances. A resolution transferring previously appropriated funds, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to accept a grant and enter into a capital improvement project grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for the Marks Tower project. An ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021. An ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts and or participate in state of Ohio or federal purchasing programs for the purchase and or lease of vehicles, equipment, and completion of projects, as well as the trade-in or outright sale of vehicles and equipment no longer needed for municipal purposes. An ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and the utilities director to enter into a contract or contracts with specified vendors for work that may exceed $50,000 annually for calendar year 2021. An ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts for sidewalk improvements, pavement striping, de-icing salt, and improving streets, alleys, and other public ways in the city of Bowling Green, Ohio. And an ordinance authorizing an agreement between the city of Bowling Green, Ohio, and the Wood County Regional Airport Authority.
Mr. President,
Ms. Phipps.
I have one resolution from the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee. A resolution authorizing the city attorney to petition the Board of County Commissioners of Wood County, Ohio to change township lines.
Okay. And I have an ordinance from the Committee of the Whole amending and adopting sections 31.05E and F of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green regarding standing committees. That brings us to official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Council. I'd also like to say welcome to Councilman Dennis. Appreciate your service to our community. I just wanted to provide a brief update on a couple of issues related to the mayor's emergency declaration that was issued early last year at the onset of the pandemic. The emergency declaration, which still is in effect, was the vehicle or the mechanism that we use to modify certain city regulations in an effort to provide support to local businesses. And there have been some questions that have been asked as we have begun a new year. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity that, number one, as I mentioned earlier, the emergency declaration still is in effect. And it is our intent to continue to keep in place those city regulations that were modified as a result of the pandemic. And we're hoping to keep these, or the goal is to keep these in place until the end of 2021. So just a brief reminder of what those regulations were. There were regulations related to outdoor dining in the downtown and on public sidewalks, regulations related to outdoor dining on commercial and private property, temporary signs in the downtown and on public sidewalks, temporary signs on commercial and private property, and parking requirements. So I would encourage any businesses that would have any questions about any of those arrangements to contact the Heather Saylor's office, our planning director, and she would be able to provide the permit requirements, which are the same as they were throughout the course or when we implemented these changes last year. But again, we're doing this because we think it does provide value to a number of local businesses and hopefully will benefit their efforts as they continue to navigate through the pandemic. That completes my report, pending any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for the mayor this evening? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Municipal Administrator, Ms. Tretter.
Good evening. Councilmember Dennis had requested more information regarding an item on your agenda this evening. The ordinance authorizing contractor contracts with specified vendors exceeding $50,000 for calendar year 2021. And this morning I sent you an email providing more details. And of course, when I'm done with my report, should you have further questions, we are glad to answer them. Also previously distributed to you was the annual refuse and recycling report by Amanda Gamby, our sustainability coordinator. I think Amanda did a very thorough job. It was very well done. So our thanks and praise to Amanda for her outstanding work. As a reminder, the administration agreed to provide council with a comprehensive report on refuse and recycling twice a year, once midway through the year, as well as an end of the year report. And Councilmember Robinette has also requested quarterly reports on refuse and recycling tonnage and costs, and both of those reports were sent last week. We did want to touch on a few points, though, with this being the end of the year summary time. I do want to begin, though, with a word of caution in this, that 2020 was a unique year for many reasons. And so the impacts on refuse and recycling are certainly felt in these numbers. So I just caution you to keep that in mind. Stay-at-home orders, quarantines, the absence of BGSU students must be kept in mind when reviewing the recycling numbers and the municipal solid waste, which we call the MSW numbers. Both refuse and recycling were impacted positively and not negatively by more people spending more time at home, working from home, spending free time at home, etc. And on the other side, the absence of many BGSU students also impacted our services and our numbers. The administration also anticipated that the expanded allowable materials collected curbside, which began at the beginning of 2020, would result in increased tonnage, and this prediction came to fruition. Overall, recycling was up in 2020 over 2019 by 23%. With 999.76 tons of materials collected curbside. Seems like somebody could have thrown a few more things in the recycle bin to get us to 1,000 there. This increase is most likely primarily attributed to the inclusion of glass in the mix of materials, as well as residents spending their time working from home and adhering to other COVID precautions and orders. The city's organics recycling program, brush, leaves, and yard waste drop-off was up and down. Brush and leaf collection were both down as compared to 2019, while the yard waste drop-off site experienced a slight increase. In total, the city's 2020 diversion rate, which is the rate of materials that were diverted from the landfill, was 38.5%. And considering that the national average is 32%, we are pleased to report that number for Bowling Green. An exciting addition to the city's recycling program in 2021 is a 6-month pilot food waste compost drop-off. Staff is actively planning and preparing for this pilot program to begin in March. The drop-off will be available for Bowling Green residents at the Public Works Garage, which is located off of Tarragon Drive, located near the airport. Signage and educational materials are being created and will be shared with council once those are available. Also distributed to you that are in person, and I think Joe will email to you, is the annual mailer that Amanda and the Utilities Department have put together, which will be sent to all of our customers in the coming weeks. The mailer provides residents with tips for reducing utility bills during colder months, and it also reviews the assistance programs that are offered by through the city and in affiliation with the city, the Efficiency Smart, the Columbia Home Gas Home Energy Audit, the Budget Payment Plan, and the MuniPal program, to name a few. And so that completes my report, subject to your questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Treader this evening?
I just have a comment, Mr. President. It's terrific news about the compost program starting in March, and looking forward to the educational materials to see what can be included. Great stuff.
We'll pass that along to Amanda.
Anybody else? All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to thank Lori and also council members Harold and Robinette for providing a little more clarity on the city's purchasing procedures. For the record, Lori, I always appreciate the opportunity to get into the weeds, so thank you for the extra materials that you sent over as well.
All right. She says you're welcome. Okay, Planning Director, Ms. Saylor.
Good evening. I have no report unless you have questions. Nice to see you all.
It is good to see you as well. Are there any questions for the Planning Director this evening? All right, thank you very much. City Attorney, Mr. Marsh. Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Marsh? All right, thank you very much. And that looks like everybody we have here this evening, which brings us to council committee reports.
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Robinette.
Just prior to this meeting, the Finance Committee met for the purpose of receiving the 2020 financial year-end review. I think most of us were there. The materials are also available. It was a good report. I think we're starting the year off on solid footing, and it really reflects the hard and skilled work of Mr. Bouchon and the administration, and demonstrates the city's being very good stewards of our taxpayers' money. So, good meeting.
Yeah, I always feel reassured when I get an update from our about our city finances. Any other council committee reports?
Mr. President,
Yes.
the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee also met before tonight's meeting on, we provided the public hearing for Ordinance 8888, which is being given its third reading this evening.
Okay. Which brings us to the reading of legislation. Okay.
Legislation for first reading, resolution number 3787 for first reading, resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to suspend the rules and give resolution 3787 second and third readings.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. Okay.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay. The rules are suspended for resolution 3787.
Resolution number 3787 for second and third reading, resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Resolution 3787.
second,
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 3787 is adopted.
Resolution number 3788 for first reading, resolution authorizing the city attorney to petition the Board of County Commissioners of Wood County, Ohio to change township lines. Resolution number 3789 for first reading, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to accept a grant and enter into a capital improvement project grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for the Marks Tower project.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to suspend the rules and give Resolution 3789 its second and third readings.
second,
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes, the rules are suspended for Resolution 3789.
Resolution number 3789 for second and third reading, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to accept a grant and enter into a capital improvement project grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for the Marks Tower project.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Resolution 3789.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Kay, could you call the roll?
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 3789 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8895 for first reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to suspend the rules and give Ordinance 8895 its second and third readings.
second,
Properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette.
Yes.
Okay, the rules are suspended for Ordinance 8895.
Ordinance number 8895 for second and third reading, ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
I move to adopt Ordinance 8895.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland.
yes,
Okay, so Ordinance 8895 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8896 for first reading, ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts and/or participate in state of Ohio or federal purchasing programs for the purchase and/or lease of vehicles, equipment, and completion of projects, as well as the trade-in or outright sale of vehicles and equipment no longer needed for municipal purposes. Ordinance number 8897 for first reading, ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and the utilities director to enter into a contract or contracts with specified vendors for work that may exceed $50,000 annually for calendar year 2021. Ordinance number 8898 for first reading, ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts for sidewalk improvements, pavement striping, de-icing salt, and improving streets, alleys, and other public ways in the city of Bowling Green, Ohio. Ordinance number 8899 for first reading, ordinance authorizing an agreement between the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, and the Wood County Regional Airport Authority. Ordinance number 8900 for first reading, ordinance amending and adopting sections 31.05E and F of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green regarding standing committees.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I just wanted to thank you for taking the comments from the previous meeting and ushering this legislation forward. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There
Okay.
is no legislation for second reading, so legislation for third reading. Ordinance number 8891 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to apply for a loan and execute an agreement with the Ohio EPA, Ohio Water Development Authority for water supply revolving loan account funding for the design and construction of the village subdivision water main improvements.
President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8891.
Second?
second,
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 8891 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8892 for third reading, ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to advertise a request for qualifications and enter into a contract or contracts for engineering services for the village subdivision water main improvements.
President,
Mr. Harold.
would you like me to do this, or would you like our new Chair of Utilities to take this?
Well, I would say since you brought these forward, you should go ahead and close them out.
Okay. I move that we adopt ordinance 8892.
Second?
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 8892 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8893 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to advertise a request for qualifications and enter into a contract or contracts for the engineering services for the West Wooster Street water and sewer improvements.
Mr. President,
Mr. Harold.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8893.
second,
Properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 8893 is adopted.
And then we have a tabled ordinance that comes off the table automatically. That's ordinance number 8888.
Mr.
Okay.
President,
Ms. Phipps?
I move to adopt ordinance 8888.
second,
All right, properly moved and seconded. Kay?
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes. Ordinance 8888 is adopted. Okay. Is there any other business to come before City Council this evening?
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino?
at this time, we have a public hearing scheduled for the historic preservation ordinance on February 1st. And that is going to be discussed again at the Planning Commission later, a little later in February. So I wanted to move that we table ordinance 8878 until February 16th, 2021. And that we also establish the public hearing for that same night at 6:30.
Okay. Since this is already tabled, Kay, do we need to vote to change the date?
Yes.
Yes?
That's what Mike says, yes.
Okay, so do I have a second? I'm assuming this is a motion.
That
to
was a
change the
motion,
name?
yes.
Okay.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Kay, could you call the roll?
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Okay, so ordinance 8878 has been tabled to February 16th. Is there any other business to come before city council this evening?
Mr. President, I
Yes.
would like to acknowledge the City of Bowling Green's Human Relations Commission for putting together a virtual Martin Luther King celebration, which was presented last evening. It was very well done, even if it had to be done virtually. They did a good job, and I want to thank them for all the work they did on that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I was able to tune in and watch that, and it was very well done.
Yes.
Any other business to come before council this evening? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.